Hey guys, my name is Donya with Around Cass County Coffee Break, and today we have some brand new people that I don't think you might have heard of them. There's a few people in town that have, but first I want to give a shout out to my sponsors, which is Fire and Knives in Linden, CMB Bank in Queen City in Atlanta, and Domino Federal Credit Union. So we are in Cafe Crema today. You're going to see people walking around, but we are visiting with Michael and Michelle. And I want y'all to introduce yourselves. Tell us who you are.
Hills Valleys Refuge.
I'm Michael Thurston. I am a contractor, and we have many children that call us mom and dad.
And that's what we're here to talk about because you have something really exciting going on. You actually have a nonprofit that's starting. Tell me a little bit about that, Michael.
We bought 31 acres here in Cass County. It's right there off Highway 59. And we are building from the foundation up a barn-dominium, and we're going to be building a transitional home for aging out foster kids.
That is incredible. And I think a lot of us never even think about that. Honestly, it never even crosses our mind. And when I first met them at GT Church, the pastor was kind of telling me about what's going on. And I was like, you know what? That's just something that doesn't cross the normal person's mind, but very important. So that's really great. So what inspired you to actually start this?
Well, actually, I started as a constant advocate. And at that time, I was working for a low-income school in Texarkana called Theron Jones. And I realized that there were a lot of kids that were coming out of the foster care or troubled trauma. And so I wanted to be a part of that. And from there, we prayed about it. We talked about fostering. And at that time, we just wanted to bring kids in and get them reunified with their parents. But we realized, again, God always changes things around. So not only did we take kids in, God told us, no, you're keeping those kids. Yes.
Okay.
So we started with a 5-year-old, and from then we opened our house to a 15-year-old girl. And now both of them belong to us. But from there, we realized, especially once we took our teenager in, that her main goal was to age out of the foster care system. And we realized that at 15, and even the transition with her to 17, is that there is no way that these kids could become 18, move out of a home, be put out, and be able to be successful as an adult. When first they have trauma, then they may have struggling families. And even with our kids, after they moved out, they still needed that connection. I have a 28-year-old that still calls me, hey, Mom, I need this, or hey, Mom, what does this look like? And these kids didn't have that strong knit. And another thing is that they needed a foundation. A lot of these kids come from abuse and neglect. And we realized that without a connection and a community, that there was no way that these kids were going to thrive.
Right.
And we wanted to change that.
Well, I think that's an incredible mission. Is there a certain moment or experience that just really opened your eyes? I guess it was probably with your daughter when you realized that
Yes.
her goal was to transition out of that.
Yes.
So is there anything else that really just touches your heart with that?
Well, the Lord brought us a friend named Ambrose Cobb. You should interview one day, because he literally aged out at 18.
And what's his name?
Ambrose Cobb.
Okay.
He aged out at 18, and his bags were packed at the end of the driveway, and he still had 6 months of high school left. And his story will pull your heart in so many directions.
Yeah.
Wow. That is absolutely, that breaks my heart.
Yes.
I mean, like I said, I can't even imagine being someone that would put someone out like that, but literally this happens as soon as they turn 18, correct?
Yes.
That day. It's done.
Yes. I mean, and the state does offer college and things like that, but the point of they don't help them with the paperwork. They don't prepare them. And then let's say they came from a broken home. Even last week, I met a young lady who has just transitioned out of foster care. She is 18. She came from a family when she was taken at 14 that was human trafficked. Well, guess what? She went right back to that mama because the state said, okay, we'll just send you on a bus back to mama. So she called me. She was in a hotel room struggling. And this is happening daily.
Yeah. Several times a day. Several times a day. So what made y'all decide Cass County? Why Cass County?
It's our home. It's we also teach a parenting class every Friday night for the state.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we realized a lot of the moms and dads that were in that class, we're from Atlanta.
Wow.
And we wanted to be here at home.
So
And
were
we,
y'all born and raised here?
no,
Okay.
neither one.
So what brought you originally to Cass County then?
Each other. We met on the internet
Yeah. Okay.
12, 13 years ago, and Michelle was from Dallas. I was from Shreveport. We just kind of landed here.
Kind of a middle way point,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
God is amazing and he
Yep.
works in mysterious ways, doesn't he?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So in a nutshell, I know we went out to their property and they have got a building starting. Tell us in a nutshell what that building is going to be.
Okay. So that building will offer our caregiver. We're gonna have a caregiver, and that caregiver is their job is to love on these kids, to get to know them. Because the biggest thing that they need is community. They need somebody to believe in them, to say, hey, I don't care what you've been through, we're gonna walk together with this. And in that home, we'll have the classrooms because these kids either they're going to need their GED, they're going to need we want to give them job skills training to figure out, hey, what do we want to do? Because a lot of times we're going into college and we think we want this, and then we realize this is not what we want.
I think most of us do that. That's not unusual.
So this is where the community is going to come in if you have a skill and come in and show these kids, hey, that this is what it looks like, whether it's a cooking class, whether it's gardening, whether it is construction work. So
How about a truck driver?
yeah, our truck driver. Yes. So we want people to come into our home and show them what these skills look like.
Okay.
Sit down with them. And then we'll have counseling there, mentorship. We want the churches to come in and be these kids' accountability partners, because what's happening is, my accountability partner may not be good for you,
Right.
because they need to make those connections with the right person.
Sure.
And so that is going to take a village. The Bible says that it's our job to take care of the orphans and the widows. And that's where we're calling churches to say, hey, you know what?
It's our
This is
calling.
it. This is just this is my calling as far as missions, but it says in God's word that it's yours as well. Because discipleship is not just adults.
No.
It's children.
Exactly. So that building, how many classrooms are going to be in there? How many bedrooms? How's that kind of look from your point of view?
So we're a 40 by 50, 2-story home, a little over 2,000 square feet. There'll be 4 bedrooms, 4 baths upstairs with a localized hangout for the young adults, classroom area, and then downstairs, caregiver. And I'm a builder, so I'm really going to go all out on the caregiver suite.
Yeah.
That's going to be our hideaway.
Well, it's not only going to be her hideaway, but that's going to be her space.
Yes, our
Because
happy place.
that is not going to be an easy job.
No.
But if the right person's there, it can be the most important
Yes.
job. So have y'all had any, y'all know who's that going to be yet?
We have been praying about that, and we're working on some grants for their salary.
So it's going to be a paid position.
It will be a paid position, and we're hoping once it does open, and we are praying that the spring is when we will officially open. But God has always worked on our hearts, and it may be us temporarily stepping in until the right caregiver comes along. Because when we stepped in this with God, and we're making sure that everything is directed by him.
And you never know. The caregiver could be watching this podcast right now.
No,
so if you do have a calling, you may want to reach out to these guys. That is awesome. Okay. The biggest challenges that foster care kids face.
That's a big one. I would say having a community, having support, having someone that believes in them. Because, a lot of times what we're finding is, even let's bring our child in it, that, she may have a day where we're filled with trauma. And if you don't understand what trauma looks like, it can be overwhelming. And you may look down on them. And, they need somebody that says, okay, let's say you have made a scene at some point, and instead of walking away from that, we are comforting them and saying, okay, you know what, everybody has a bad day,
and we do,
and
that's what they need to understand.
And even with addictions, it doesn't just disappear overnight. And that's where we want those kids to know, I don't care where you came from, what it looked like, but with God and a strong foundation,
anything's possible.
Yes, your story can change, and you can help and serve. Because that's a big thing we want to teach these kids is how to serve. Because when you're teaching them to serve, when we're serving, I'm not worried about what happened to me. I am involved in that. I'm looking, I mean, even with our kids, that's the biggest things that we have taught our kids is we have gone in and we've taught them how to serve. Our daughter just got back from Asia for 8 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Because we want them to see that sometimes it looks like everything is about us and our loss and what we've been through. But when we serve and help others, we stop looking at that and realize that God has a different plan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's so true. All right. So I know that y'all were talking about different classrooms and studies and that kind of thing. What exactly will you be teaching? I mean, from the ground up, what will you be doing?
Okay. So our classrooms will be different for the person. So it's kind of be like, at school, you have an IEP, you have an education plan. So that is where the first 30 days we're going to get in there and figure out, hey, what is it that you need? We know that counseling is going to be there for everyone.
Right.
But our job training is going to fit that person's needs. So if it's a young man who loves to work with his hands, well, we're going to do that. It's, hey, you don't have your high school diploma. We're going to focus on getting your GED. So we've already plugged into some different churches. We've talked to Texarkana College. Even with the CDL right now, this year, they had a grant. So you could actually
That's
get
awesome.
free schooling for your CDL. So it's making sure that we're plugged into the community so we can offer our kids as much as they need because everybody's plan is going to be different.
That's exactly right. And even with normal, we all have issues as far as figuring out what we want to do. And with
Yes.
these guys, it's probably even a little bit more confusing because they've had a rough start.
Yes.
So,
And flying back to why we did Cass County, one of my biggest goals is to teach them how to be self-sufficient.
Yes.
We have land. We
Yeah.
want to do a big garden. We're going to
Cows,
get into
chickens,
animals.
and-
And
so kind of homesteading.
yeah,
Yes.
That would be awesome.
self-sufficiency.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and I think nowadays that's so important to teach because there's so much out there that God has given us that we don't actually use.
Utilize.
I mean, I don't know if you guys know it or not, but I do holistic living and teach and educate on essential oils and that kind of thing. And it's amazing to me how God gave us all these things.
I
But
agree.
yet the first thing that we do is call the doctor and say, hey, prescribe me something.
Yeah.
When we may have something right there, not that Western medicine is not needed. It is needed,
Yes.
but at the same time, for a little sniffle, it's not.
No,
You know what I
Right.
mean?
not. Yeah.
So, yeah. So
Awesome.
walk me through a young person's life that is a foster child from like the age of 15 to 18. Can you tell that they start getting nervous going, what am I going to do out there in this world? What's that journey like for them?
So,
And can you even describe that?
It's hard. The closer it gets, we saw it in our own daughter, the more nervous, anxious regression towards that end of that senior year. And it's just, it's completely overwhelming to them.
Right.
Even ours, we adopted our daughter at 17. But the thought, and it was funny watching her because, our other children, when we were a senior year and ready for college, they're like, hee, we're out.
We're done.
Yeah.
But with her, even picking her dorm room, we cried because it was so overwhelming because she had made a connection with
A
us.
true connection that
So-
she'd never probably
so
had
home.
before.
having
family.
that anxiety, that separation anxiety was real. And then you look at a child that is not connected to their foster parents because, some of these kids have been in 7, 8 homes. They've been in institutions as well. And so, you ask, why haven't they made that connection? Because the fact that they have moved so many different times, even with our daughter, before we adopted her, when we would have trouble, let's say something happened at school, well, the caseworkers would come in and they're like, oh, do you want us to send her somewhere else? Should she go to a facility? And we're like, we would do that to our own kids. Why would we do that to you? But they make it so easy. And it's not that they mean to, it's that the state is overwhelmed. There's so many kids in the system because of that. And because our caseworkers, their loads are so much, they can't meet every child's need. And what's happening is these kids are slipping out of the system.
Right.
And this is why our homelessness is up. This is why human trafficking is up, because the fact that it's a generational cycle that just keeps going and going. And that's one thing I love about Hills and Valleys is because we've got to sit down with so many people that the cycle is just continue and continue. And the only way to break it is God's people to step in and say, let's break that cycle. Let's be that gap because that we're supposed to intercede for them.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And as far as if you could reach out to the community, which we're doing here, what can we do to help support Hills and Valley?
A monthly donation would be amazing.
And
is-
from the smallest
yes,
donation
ma'am.
to the
Yes.
largest, everything.
Yes, every dollar
Yes.
counts. We all know
Yes.
that, raising kids. Really, we need mentors to go ahead and sign up online so we have a list when we get our young adults that they can come out and hang out, and the kids will be able to pick a mentor.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Um,
Okay, so tell me about that program. How does that work?
Mentorship?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was a short story. I was a wild young adult because I didn't have a dad.
Right?
Being raised by a single mother. There was a man at my church named Mr. Gale who sat in front of me every weekend and fed me candy and cut up and did shenanigans. But when I did get in trouble as a young adult, my mom would send him to come get me. And his kindness and love, I didn't see it then, but I see it now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was just real with me. He's like, look, son, I'm not your dad. You screwed up. You're in trouble. But let's get past this, because when you become an adult, I
You gotta
can't
keep
come get you
going.
no more.
Yeah.
And so over the years, his kindness, and I mean, he helped me in every way. He helped me get a car, helped me learn how to fix a car. I mean, he taught me all the things that a dad would, kind of without me ever knowing. He was just my friend, somebody I
Right.
have to call 24/7, and he never spoke down to me. His words were always encouraging, and he modeled the Christian male walk through his mentorship to me.
Yeah, that's so important. So,
Mhm.
all right, so we got the monthly money,
Yeah.
that needs to come in. We also have mentors that we're needing. What else
Mhm.
are you guys needing from the community?
Well, we are praying that our beds are going to come in next week for
Yeah.
our main part of our building. And once that main structure is up, this is where we're going to need those that, hey, if you are good in construction or
Volunteers.
electrician, volunteers that know that hands-on, with fundraising, that
Oh, yeah.
is a big thing with us. You know, we've come together as a board, but we love to have your guys' skills. So
Yeah.
let's say you are awesome at throwing banquets and things like that.
Mhm.
We would love not only your information, if you would like to volunteer with that, that would be great. And prayer is a big thing because, you know, when you're walking with the Lord, spiritual attacks can come. And so, you know, pray for these kids that are coming into our home. Pray for the kids that are not there yet. Like I said, I just met a lady
Prepare 'em.
last week that, you know, just because we're not started doesn't mean that we're not out in the community helping. Whether, you know, like I said, we teach a parenting class, we counsel, we are plugged in with 100 families. So we're doing everything we can right now for them. And so prayer is very important because this stuff, there are kids out there on the street that need
Already.
Okay, so how are you finding these kids? That's like, are they just coming to you? Which some of them might
Somehow,
be.
yeah.
But how are you finding these kids that are needing that?
Well, because we're networking, we have caseworkers. We have dealt with caseworkers. We have connected with Water Springs Ranch. We have connected with
What is Water Spring Ranch?
so Water Springs Ranch is in Texarkana. It is a home for they take in kids off the street. A lot of their kids that they have right now are kids that have been adopted. But what happens is a lot of times when you're adopted, again, you're not told everything. So sometimes parents unfortunately give kids back. And so
I've never heard.
yes, it happens a lot. And so these are trouble kids coming in. And so before they do end up in the state, Water
Right,
Springs
right.
Ranch
Steps
comes
in.
and steps
Oh,
in.
okay, great.
And they are a living, you can basically live there, they train, they do schooling and things like that, but they take up to kids that are up to 18.
And then they,
And then so, you know, they've
Okay.
noticed too that, hey, you know,
there's still that gap.
yes,
Yeah.
and they've tried a transitional home, but again, that's kind of not where their foundation was. And even with us, this is why we stepped in too, is because we noticed the Grace House. The Grace House takes young ladies and with kids, and we noticed a lot of these young ladies coming into the Grace House have been in foster
Aged out of
care or
foster.
aged out of foster care. We are connected with Jenny from Haven Homes.
Mhm.
And again, these people that are coming into Haven Homes that are coming out of jail or addictions, some of them have been foster care. So this is where we've noticed the gap.
Right.
And
Do a lot of networking with local nonprofits.
yes,
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
And even I was in a meeting with 100 families. Yesterday, 100 Families is a program that I didn't realize actually started because of how many kids were in foster care and reunification and helping these families before their kids get taken away.
Right.
Right.
So
Preacher.
this is, what Hills and Valleys is. We're not just standing back and saying, hey, we're Hills and Valleys, is we are connecting with other nonprofits. Whether it's being out in the streets and praying, whether it's working with the homeless. We're not telling you to serve because we're not serving.
Right.
Right.
We're doing
Right.
exactly
What you need
we're
to do.
asking.
All right. So I love the name, right? And I know what the metaphor is, but I want to hear it from you guys. How did you come up with that name? What made you think of Hills and Valleys?
Actually, our daughter is the one that named Hills and
Mhm.
Valleys
Really?
Refuge.
Mhm.
Yes. So, last year when we decided that this is what we wanted to do, and it's funny because I told the Lord, I was like, okay, Lord, I am all in. I was a teacher for 20 something years. And I was like, okay, if I have to let go of my job to do this, I will do exactly what you tell me to do. Within not even 2 months, my husband was in a wreck in an
ATV.
ATV. He had broken his leg in 3 different
Oh,
parts.
no.
And he's the main
That was
provider
the test.
and for 6 months. And I'm telling you, not only that 6 months he didn't work. I mean, at one point our yard caught on fire. Yes. And I was like, Lord, I told you. I
Because
mean,
he was stuck. You
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, yes,
no.
yes. And but I had that time while I was walking in that valley to just sit there and pray and say, Lord, even with these kids, they're all yours. I
Right.
can't do this without you. This is your vision, and I'm gonna walk hands and feet with you. And like I said, that was my valley. And when we had saw the land and what God had pictured this looking like, there were hills in that. Um, and the
Behind all
scripture,
those trees out there,
yes,
it's
Oh,
up and
yeah.
down, up and down.
yes.
Right.
Pretty cool.
And God is our refuge.
Absolutely.
That foundation, that's what's broken in these kids. Even we had the opportunities to look at homes that were built and things like that because we looked at
For almost
lots of
2
Lots
years.
of plans.
Yes.
Yeah.
And God was just telling me the foundation, Michelle, the foundation. And I was like, you know what? We've got to start from the ground up. And it's going to be harder, very
Way
hard
harder.
to do that. But you know what? That foundation is the Lord. And every time something is poured, it's done for Him. And that's what these kids need. That everything, your life, although it looks the way it does, and we've been in valleys, that He was there. He was walking with them, and He's ready to root them up and put them in a strong foundation.
Right.
And that's what we need.
And even in our valleys, God has always been with
Yes.
us and puts us right back
Always
up
on
on the hill.
Yep.
Always back
Yep.
up. Okay, so I know you're just getting started. You're starting the build process. What do you see in 5 years?
I see a little village.
Okay.
We got the main house in the middle, a couple tiny homes around. The 5-year plan, I kind of drew it out. We have 31 acres.
Yeah, you've got a lot.
I would like to see phase 2 and phase 3 where these young adults could truly live in their own little tiny home. Hopefully they could build. I mean, I'm a builder, so within the 5-year mark, definitely my business is going to donate a shop to Hills and Valleys and teach hands-on building skills. So I would love to see some young adults either build their own home or help build it. Or,
Build for the community.
yeah.
Awesome. And I know that you guys also said like a nice garden out
No,
there and
yes.
that kind of thing. So it's all supported, also kind of taking care of itself as well.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
really just
Self-sustainability.
exactly. And that's so important today for sure. Okay. So let's look at the 5-year plan.
Mhm.
And let's say you got your very first person that's walking through the door. What do you claim success in that person? When do you go, okay, they made it and they can go on to the real world or outside of their self? Have you ever thought about that
Yeah.
before?
Yeah. I mean, we've actually thought, okay, so a successful person to us would be able to leave and have that strength of knowing that, hey, I'm going to do okay. I'm going to be okay. And
Mhm.
I'm not walking out of this place alone because not only I want them to walk out with the Lord, but I want them to have a strong enough community where the people that were mentoring them and accountability is always there, is always a phone call away, is always that no matter if I go out there and I'm successful or if I slip and I need to fall back on somebody, I'm always going to have someone.
Right.
So I want them to be able, yes, that confidence to know where they're going, to know, okay, I would be great at cutting here. I would be great at this. And I've already started it and I am strong enough. then it's also is to be able to live on their own, whether that means by themselves or with their roommate, but they have a clear path of what that is going to look like.
So when a person comes in, they've obviously got the age of 18.
Yes.
How long are you anticipating them staying with you guys? Is there okay, you've got 2 years, we're kind of looking at a 2-year frame, or is it just whenever each person is ready?
So right now we have our goal is 12 to 18 months, and we're going to have 3 different phases. So we're hoping again that they'll finish those phases in 12 to 18 months. But if we're realistic, that doesn't mean that if we have somebody that hasn't finished those phases in 18 months, that we're going to say, okay,
So
you're done.
right,
No.
no.
No. We want, this is where we've come in, and I love the community and the people that God has placed in our hands. Because even in the beginning, when we decided we were going to start Hills and Valleys, our thought was, oh, we're just going to put them in a mini house. And then we had a social worker on our board that said, Michelle, have you really thought about this? Have you? And we're like, wait
Putting
a
them in a
minute.
house by themselves, not
Yes, because we know
no education.
that especially people that that have done with addictions and things like
Right,
that,
right.
that quietness can get yourself in a lot of
Trouble.
trouble.
Idle mind is the devil's
Yes,
playground.
yes,
Right?
yes.
True
Not
story.
of hands, out of mind.
That's right.
So, our thought is 12 to 18 months. But if they are not finished with those phases, then we will extend
To whatever they need.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so one more question. So let's see, you've got, a person coming in there, they stay 11 months. They're almost at that 12 months. And they're like, you know what? I want to leave. I'm out of here. Can they just freely and clearly leave?
Yes.
I mean, at any time?
Yes. Our waiver that they signed, again.
Okay, so they got a waiver or contract.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're an adult and we cannot make you stay. This is still a choice.
Right.
Because even, with someone who's addicted or trauma, you have to want to choose to fix it. And so if your choice is, no, I don't want to fix this, or no, I'm going to do it this way, then we want the opportunity to say, well, if you're not ready for this, why not you come back at a different time? And that doesn't mean they may leave and they may come back when they're
We've
ready.
seen that with the grace house.
Yes,
Right.
but with everything, you have to want to be ready.
Absolutely.
So
Well, that's with anybody.
yes. So we are here to help, to serve, but again, it is their choice. We're not going to keep them there.
Okay.
If they don't
So
want to
if
be.
somebody comes up and says, hey, you know what? This is not for me. I'm out of here. And then they get in the real world and go, oh, you know what? I need to go back.
Mhm.
At what point are they allowed to come back? What if you're full? What happens at that point?
We build another house.
Yeah.
We ask for some more support, right?
Well,
Absolutely.
and I love, this is one thing I love, is that if you have a community of people, let's say, like I said, I got a call from the young lady last week. Well, guess what? I called different people and got her what she needed. So
Right.
if you're working in a network with different nonprofits,
Right.
you're serving each other. And so this is again that, hey, I may not have a place for you, but I've done my research and I know, okay, that there's somewhere you can go, or I can help. Even let's say I've got someone that's about 12, 18 months done and they're ready for a place, but their finances and things. Well, guess what? I've done my research and I know that there's and it's called FYI. It is a youth. It's from HUD
Okay.
for foster.
Yeah.
It's a
Okay.
housing grant. So
Okay.
I know what that looks like, and I can sit down and
And
help
help
them.
Mhm.
So this is where again, where Hills and Valleys Refuge is doing their research, so that
Right.
they know what grants are out there, what I can help them with, where I can send them, so that we're working together. And it's not all about me. It's about them and the foundation.
Because I know at that age, at age 18, you may think you want something and then turn around and go, you know what? I totally messed up.
No.
Yes,
Can
ma'am.
I come back?
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
right? Okay, so if you could reach somebody and give a message to those who've aged out of the community, what would that message be?
For me, it would be that it doesn't matter what you've done or where you've been, you're loved and God is watching over you and has a path lined out for you. You
Yeah.
just have to seek Him and find Him. And if you don't know Him, get yourself plugged in. Find that community.
Mhm.
Find somebody who's going to show you how much you are loved. Because God has somebody that's not going to give up on you, that is already praying for you. Yes, before you
Isn't that
even know
amazing? That gives me chill bumps. But I can always remember, which I was very blessed. I was brought up in the church. And so for me, it's very easy to have that community. I mean, I know in a drop, if something were to happen, I know 15, 20 people I have to call and say, I need help,
Right.
right? And if you're not a child of God, I can't even imagine that desperation of, I have nowhere to turn. Or I think I have a friend that I might could fall, but are they really? So that's really difficult. So again, community is a big thing. All right. So we were talking about how people could also, as far as helping you guys, can you plug in anybody I mean, are you taking like applications for job positions or anything like that?
Right now, if you are a caregiver, that is something that we are definitely looking for. Eventually we will hire someone for social media and marketing because the Lord is the Lord is blessing me in that thing, but it's not something I would, and I can't tell the Lord I'm not called for it because He has proved me wrong. He has proved me wrong. But the social media and the marketing, because eventually, what I'm doing now, I love it, and God has trained me. But my heart is these kids, and my heart is plugging in there, whether it's going into the streets to help find these kids. I see where God is taking me, not the marketing and the things like that.
Right.
I want to be that first one to give the hugs and do all that.
That is amazing.
So having a team, and that does take, that means that we are
Takes a
going to.
village.
Yes. So eventually we will be hiring somebody for marketing or a director, so that I can do the job that God is calling me to do. But yes, so our caregiver and our director.
Me being out on the road, being a truck driver, I would go down through the streets of Los Angeles or Colorado or whatever. And so many of the homeless that are out there are young adults. And it breaks your heart. It's like, I cannot even imagine what these people, I mean, literally they are tent cities, I mean, and it's just, it's heartbreaking. It really is. So what God has done here is absolutely amazing with you guys. Okay. So as far as being out there, have y'all dealt with a child that has gone through a program like y'all's? And have you seen the benefits of that?
Well, there is not a program within a 200 radius of. Yes.
Wow.
And that was one reason we chose Cass County, is because there's not a program that is close to us. The closest ones are in Dallas. So, because I've even reached out to Longview, because they do have foundations that help as far as, pointing them the way, kind of like 100 families. We do have
services, but no place to call home.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And so this is what we wanted to create.
Well, it
Hills
sounds like
Valleys.
this is the perfect location.
Yes.
Because there is nothing else that's around there. We were talking, I'm going to jump back for just a second. You were talking about mentors, how important that is. And again, I'm referring back to the truck driving, because I had a trainer for 6 weeks, and he happened to be a male, but he trained me how to live out on the road in an 18-wheeler, right? And he was my mentor. And literally at year 5, I could still call him and say, and that is, I mean, it's amazing, and it gives me chill bumps, because that mentorship makes you feel secure.
Yes.
It's a security of knowing, you know what, I can call him if I'm on the side of the road and things are smoking. I can get my phone out and go, what in the heck do I need to do? Call the police station or whatever, But yeah, it's very, very crazy on just how much that mentorship can be. It's unbelievable. Okay, if you could give one hope-filled thought to leave our audience with, what would it be?
That's a tough one.
That is a tough.
I think for me is, that everything you do, serving people, even when you're in the valley yourself, serving somebody
Takes your eyes off
changes,
yourself.
takes it off yourself,
Absolutely.
and it helps someone. So, I even tell people, if Hills and Valleys, if you don't feel like your heart is there, then serve a different thing, whether it is for sake of one, whether it is the Grace House, is that, even us, we make sure that we're plugged into other things too, because I wouldn't ask you to do what I wouldn't do.
Right.
And so that's where, if you're not serving in some way, try it. Like the Lord says, test me, when he talks about tithing. When you serve, there is just something that the Lord puts, like Christ
Right.
served. And so And that
And
was,
you're never too old to
no.
serve.
No.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
you're never too old to
I've
serve.
been
And
on
that's
mission trips with 80-year-old
Yeah.
women that can outdo.
exactly.
Man, I'm like,
Exactly.
That'll
whoa,
work you.
where did you
But
get
so we've got a wide range. Not only can the older serve, but the younger
No,
can
yes,
also serve as well,
Yeah.
right? To have good influences and
Mhm.
partnership, friendships with these kids that's going to be coming to the area.
Yes.
So, last thoughts. Anything else you want to add that I forgot to ask or haven't asked?
No, if you're a young adult and you're out there struggling, I would just ask that you reach out to anybody,
Yeah.
somebody, because there's always someone willing to help, love on you, and get you out of that situation. You can't do it alone.
Yeah.
I've been there. Just reach out. Don't be scared.
And that's very important to take that step to reach
Mhm.
out because a lot of times we don't know what we don't know
Right.
until you ask, right? And so
Mhm.
that's really important to step out. If you are somebody that's needing help, they may not can help you, but they have directions on
Right.
which you can go. Any thoughts from you?
No, I mean, he did a great
Yeah.
job. He did a great job. Like I said, he said, reach out. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to say, hey, this is where I'm struggling, or this is what I need.
Right.
And then also, if you have a skill and you think you can share it with us, please either email us, go on Hills and Valleys Refuge, because that's where you can go to donate. Or, we have our Facebook, we have Instagram, TikTok.
Give me all that information. Yep. Give me
yeah,
that information.
yes.
So how can they reach you if they want to donate or offer your hand? What do they need to do?
We have, you can go to our Hills and Valleys Refuge,
.org.
.org. Yes. We have so many platforms. We have Linktree.
Okay.
We have TikTok, Instagram, YouTube.
So I'm going to jump in right there. Linktree is kind of like a webpage that has everything listed. So
Mhm.
that's probably
Yes.
the easiest.
Yes.
So go to what is your LinkedIn?
Let me look it up, because
And that way you can do it all in one spot. There's several different areas. I know I use Linktree myself and it's pretty awesome how it works. So Linktree is going to be one aspect. They also have the Hills and Valleys Refuge.org.
Mhm.
What else while she's looking that up that you can think of? Facebook, TikTok?
Yeah, all our social media platforms, we try to plug in weekly updates, monthly updates.
Okay. So I think she's got the
Yes.
LinkedIn and it is.
it is Linktree. And if you've never been on Linktree, it's linktr.ee, and then it has a slice, is what I call it, and then it's Hills and Valleys Refuge. And if you already are connected to Linktree, it would just be Hills and Valleys Refuge together.
Okay. So that's pretty much Hills and Valleys Refuge. You can probably just put that in your URL
good.
and everything's
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
come up.
And honestly, when you Google us, a lot of those stuff
Up to.
pop.
Well, I am excited to have this in our area. I think it's a God thing, right?
Mhm.
It's definitely a God thing. And I can tell the way he's directing and leading you guys. And I just want to thank you for serving in that capacity because it's definitely needed. And I think we take it for granted. So thank you guys for doing what you do and loving all these kids that need it. So
Thank you.
you
so
guys have a
much.
blessed and awesome day. And y'all get with Michelle and Michael and y'all have a blessed one. See you soon.